the next phase that we're just really excited about, and that one's going to really be released like very soon. But later on, kind of long term, what we're really excited about is, us having built out a more solid middleware chain, and then have like Starknet mainnet applications be able to, take advantage of like stake BTC value, whether it's like a DeFi protocol or not.
So, my dear friends from the Starknet ecosystem, welcome back to the StarkCafe. Today, we have the pleasure to host Luke from ChakraChain, a Bitcoin restaking protocol that uses ZK Starks, and hence it also interacts with Starknet. So, first of all, hello, Luke. Welcome to the StarkCafe. How are you?
Great, thank you. Thanks for having us. Yep.
Thanks for coming, Luke. And I'm really excited at this episode, as I want to dive deeper, first of all, through your background. Then I would like to know more about ChakraChain. How was it born as a concept? How it works in the technical aspect. Also, we'll be speaking a bit about the whole, L2 and restaking scene around Bitcoin, which is one of the most popular narrative for the time being. And then we'll also be speaking about the community side of ChakraChain, because I know that you're running different initiatives. And so first of all, seeing that you are relatively new to the Starknet ecosystem, it would be great for our viewers to know more about your background and also how you got fascinated about ZK Starks.
Yeah, so a little bit about kind of our team. We're relatively, so we started, building on Web3, I guess a little over 12 months ago. So been in the scene at first, most of the technical side comes from like infrastructure backgrounds. Starknet, we got connected, and I think the key synergies were that, so supporting deep builders is something that Starknet's always been extremely good at. So that's something that where we connected well and then resonated with, and then also kind of ZK and ZK Starks in general. It's for us the key kind of attractive and value point is that it's pretty much, I guess, the only stack that has secured a lot of value in production. Right, the ZK's been around like as a concept for quite a while, but it hasn't been extremely clear in terms of how it can create value. And so Stark's been creating value since around the days of StarkX, securing about probably, what was it, like $1 trillion. So that's for us the amazing part about the Starknet ecosystem.
Very well. So we are talking about a very also battle tested technology, and which proved a lot of transactions, a lot of value, as you mentioned. And also, I remember that maybe the concept behind ChakraChain started to get developed during an hackarouse, like an hackathon initiative by Starknet. Am I right?
No, so that part's not exactly, but so a little bit about how we kind of start. So before this, we've done a lot of kind of crossovers with Starknet ecosystem around, mostly around the Madara Stack. So things like consensus and also parallelism. Those are things that we worked with the Starknet ecosystem on. In terms of, and by the way, like by default, like Starkware or Starknet ecosystem is on Ethereum, right? So it's not like we were always like keeping a super close eye on Bitcoin. I mean, obviously, it's still like the centerpiece. It's still in the center of Web3, right? But I guess like since like arguably like after 2017, 2018, Bitcoin's somewhat been like a second thing, and but when we kind of what we saw was slightly later on, oh sorry, earlier on in this year, we were connecting with some of the really user oriented user communities around Asia and then also other parts of the world. But I guess, Web3 is still very heavily, like, users are very heavily in Asia. And so, we just found out, okay, users really care about BTC, like, like nowadays, especially since I would say probably, arguably a little bit before even the kind of turning of calendar, but especially after the new year, it's been, yeah, yeah, I think people, there's a lot of theories as to why, but I think one of the key issues might be like Bitcoin is still extremely permissionless, right? And extremely bottom up driven, and so I think those might be what's like attracting users. But conclusion is like users are very heavily compelled by BTC today. And so, yeah, that's when we kind of started exploring, how can we essentially use technology stacks that have been built to, serve this ecosystem better. Yeah.
So I'm also one of those people who was positively surprised by the renewed attention around Bitcoin. And recently I've been diving deeper also around the whole BTC L2 scene to know more about it. And yeah, I mean, it's quite surprisingly that now there's such a lot of attention around it, and also it's
Mhm.
like very positive because it's like driven by some technological breakthrough that were like discovered during the past month and year.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited at what's coming in this BTC scene, and also obviously Chakra Chain is one of the projects which is experimenting with these new concepts around Bitcoin. So I wanted to know, so you were transitioning towards the Chakra Chain's mission. So I suppose that you would like uh, to like to discover new ways in order to make BTC more productive in the DeFi scene and in the roll-up scene. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess kind of multiple questions in there, and feel free to remind me if I forget to answer all of them. But yeah, definitely, I think BDC kind of the the renaissance, if you will, very surprising for most people. I mean, for us too. Like, to be honest, like mostly last year, we just thought, most of the innovation was going to be around Ethereum later on, and BTC was, something like gold, right? You would hold it, and it's valuable, but okay, are people still building on top of it? Yeah, maybe yes, maybe not. And then I guess a few projects. I mean, there were always people like building on top of Bitcoin for a long time, but I think in terms of mainstream attention, people started inventing, slashing mechanisms for a BDC, but even like pre like network upgrades. So I think that's what kind of injected a lot of newfound hope too. And then also users, I think, started, I think arguably, so it's actually interesting. BTC Core hates ordinals and sats. A lot of the people, they kind of think it's like this. It's something that just wasn't supposed to happen. Like, they were trying to do the upgrades for other purposes, and then these people came along and they discovered that, okay, I could do things like pseudo NFTs, like put those into small corners of like Bitcoin block space. And then a lot of people might think, like, at least within the like very core of BTC, there's some people that don't really like that. But personally, I think from what I see, it drove a lot of newfound enthusiasm from users into the BTC ecosystem. And that's also what drives developers too, right? Because like developers need to build things that eventually, well, users will use. And so that's personally how I kind of see, part of the history turning out. So in terms of like important technology that might have driven that, I think, there's great teams like building slashing mechanisms and whatnot. And then of course, like a lot of these like very committed builders, like even throughout the time when like nobody was really paying attention to Bitcoin, like still pushing for things like OP Cat. I think those efforts are things that are super should be respected. And yeah, for us, so yeah, so we kind of dived in, you know, pretty much around January because we thought, hey, this is a thing users wanted it, and there's like more innovation coming up. OPCat's not live on mainnet yet, and this is something that I think the general like Star community is like cares a lot about too. Like Star community has been working hard to try to help, BDC core, push
Yeah,
through OPCat too. And so, and for those who don't know, OPCat is like this single opcode that is somewhat of a magical ingredient. Like once it's online, a lot of things like slashing and then spending STBDC and whatnot that can be made trustless. Today, it's not really possible, like at least on L1 alone. And so it's a bottleneck today. But yeah, once that's online, I think it's gonna explode even more. And yeah, and so generally in terms of like what we try to do, touching a little bit on the like L2 and whatnot, is that a lot of people try to build L2s, but the problem becomes, how do I connect with BTC, right? So essentially, how to settle with BTC, that's like a pain point, and we try to solve that. That involves like different capacities. One is like staking, restaking, which is something I guess we talk a decent amount towards the community. Talk about a decent amount, and the other does also involve a good amount of multi-sigs. So anything pre-OPCat, a lot of the functionalities that you want in BTC still has to rely on multi-sigs, for better or for worse. Like the good part is you can build applications and users can benefit. The bad part is multi-sigs aren't exactly the
still,
most trustless of technologies, right? And
exactly.
so yeah, that's generally kind of the landscape. And so we're helping out, I would say. So like anybody who wants to build L2s or whatnot, we try to abstract away that complexity, whether it's like the staking, restaking, or the multi-sigs and the different custodians you have to work with to make that happen. So in essence, yeah, we try to help people settle with BDC. Yep.
Very, very interesting. And as we dive deeper into how Chakra Chain works in the technical way, like could we could we clarify the fact that like Chakra Chain is not an L2 based on BTC, but more like it is a sort of, we could compare it to Eigenlayer, right? So it's a restaking protocol. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
So long term, I think so. The Chakra network will live on more as a sort of middleware that tries to help uh, execution environments like L2s settle with BDC better. But short term, we do actually have one release of a Cairo. So it's built on the Madara Stack. It's running
Okay.
Cairo. It's like the first reference chain because like there's just like all kinds of BDC L2s out there. Some are more standardized, others are like very, very special. And so yeah, we decided to also like release this reference implementation. It's like it's very nicely built using pretty standard and interoperable technologies, at least for like these execution chains today. Like Madara, it runs the Cairo VM stack. So for ZK and whatnot, and together with like the rest of Starknet, there's like very strong interoperability with technologies. And then also, of course, yeah, the Madara stack itself, it's built on Substrate, so it's relatively easy to like participate and extend. Yep, so
Very well. And for example, how can you bridge value from Bitcoin into Starknet in a safe and fast way?
yeah, that's a great question. So like two capacities. I mean, one, even like before we connect with Starknet mainnet, just for like the Cairo reference implementation of the Madara chain that kind of interacts with BDC, that we feel can help developers essentially build these Cairo driven BDC economies, right, on top of a Madara chain for like the short term. But that's kind of stage one. So helping Cairo developers have an extra place to play with, and then also like serve users around. That's one. Second, kind of the next phase that we're just really excited about, and that one's going to really be released like very soon. But later on, kind of long term, what we're really excited about is us having built out a more solid middleware chain, and then have like Starknet mainnet applications be able to you know take advantage of like stake BTC value, whether it's like a DeFi protocol or not. Yeah, and so that's kind of long term what we're really excited about.
Very well, very promising. So we'll be seeing also, like, for example, DeFi applications on Starknet offering products related to, to BTC risk on top of Chakra Chain, something like that, just to
Yeah.
have an idea. Just like it's happening for Eigenlayer, in the also. So you were saying that you use Madara as a sequencer. So Chakra Chain is as an app chain, right? On top of Madara. How's your experience with Madara so far? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's been super awesome so far. I mean, so like we've been kind of participating around Madara too. So it's, I mean, I guess for our team, like the onboarding frictions a little bit smaller, but uh, for the most part, I think Rust takes a little bit of time to learn, and then Substrate is a framework of its own. But I think it's worth an investment. If you're a developer, it's a good enough stack,
So,
and yeah, so once the onboarding friction is passed, I think it's a very powerful, versatile stack that allows you to build actual like ZK driven rollups that work. Like a
yeah,
lot of like ZK driven frameworks today, but do they work end to end? It's very hard. That being said, Madara is still like it's still polishing some corners, to be honest. Like some of the RPC specs and whatnot. So Madara, I think, just got a big upgrade. So for a long time, it was running Cairo 2.1 instead of Cairo
okay.
2.6. Now it's up to 2.6. So that's like a major milestone for everybody using and then building Madara. And then also, I think there's like RPC upgrades and whatnot that are coming up too. So those are all super, like, I think, important and significant things pushing forward Madara. Well, once those corners are, I think, smoothed out, eh, I would say it's definitely a very exciting stack to build app chains on top of. And then also you mentioned sequencers too. So originally it was meant to help people build like very powerful sequencers. So those are all, I think, very exciting things for developers.
Absolutely. And so let's speak about the current network state of Chakra Chain. And I know that you recently launched your DevNet, and you already hinted a little bit at the feedback from the developer community. And I would
Yeah.
love to learn a bit more about that. And also, like, what are the pros and the cons? So the easy things, and maybe also the obstacles that developers are facing while using your DevNet.
Yeah. So in terms of general state of the network, kind of timelines, we just had a developer preview. I mean, it's actually still going on. It's not meant to be like a exclusive, market gimmick. It's more just really meant to help developers kind of get their hang of the tech stack, and then also to see how we can make it better and even better for developers. So that's been already live, and then it's still going on. We're going to have a test net soon, probably within this month, to that's more production ready. Yeah, after in testnet, hopefully we can release even better versions later on. But that's generally like the timeline we're aiming at. And aside from that, developer experience and kind of insights that we've learned about, I think first of all, a good thing is that Cairo definitely does well with good builders and good developers. Like good builders and good developers appreciate the quality of the stack, even though there's always like rough corners with like Web3 products, but definitely definitely the quality of the technology builds like very deep and hardcore fans. Now, of course, this has been solved right now. So, but back when and the version of the DevNet that's live right now is still like Cairo 2.1. So there's like some of the tool chains for like the broader stake Starknet don't work yet. So that's been a problem, but it's obviously we've been, not just us, but also like other people building on and maintaining Madara are also like very aware of that. So that's on its way to being solved. Outside of that, I think, yeah, Starknet ecosystem in general has been spending a lot of time and energy into education programs and also like tutorials and whatnot. So I think, yeah, generally like very well supported in terms of like onboarding and whatnot. So yeah.
Awesome. And in fact, I also know that you have a community program in place that goes hand on hand with the DevNet as well. And I wanted to learn more about it. And also, let's find a way to explain to devs who are interested in a Chakra Chain how they can contribute to it.
Yeah. So, in terms of like community, generally it's not meant to, uh, have people go all out with it. It's more like we want to, just to know who's been really helping the general project grow from day one. And so, yeah, so that's that. And then in terms of devs, how people can participate. Unfortunately, there's a lot of avenues for that. I mean, for one, it's built on the Madara Stack. So, well, whether it's like development towards Madara or like a more specific development towards like the Chakra Stack, there's parts that I think aren't open repos yet, but eventually it all will be. So that will allow anybody to be able to participate towards code extremely easily, whether it's like the core stack or like extensions or whatnot. So we definitely welcome core builders, like open source builders to make contributions. And then outside of that, yeah, just love to also have builders just like really take the developer network and then test nets to the extreme to really put it to the test. And because we care a lot about having something that's work and really works robustly. So in general, yeah. So participating in code, taking it to the test around building applications, those are things that we would really appreciate. Yeah.
So as far as I understand, we are into a very experimental phase of the Chakra Chain development. And also, would you mind also sharing some potential use cases that can be developed on top of Chakra Chain in order to make developers also more curious about it?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, it's definitely, I think, early on, I think the best use cases are probably first DeFi, definitely. So like dexes, lending, and then also if people want to build these things like say stable coins that are like very strong tied to BTC, those are all like it would be better to build those on the Chakra stack than simply trying to port it over to Ethereum L1. And so yeah, those are definitely things. And then also like with dexes, it's the advantage of doing it on an app chain a stack like Madara is that a lot of the innovative dexes right now, I think, are trying to go for more specialized chains just so it can really serve their own kind of dex design in a very customized fashion. A lot of people are trying to do that. So that's, I think, also advantage. And then yeah, otherwise, like wild things, but hey, maybe people can build games on top of, BTC related chains too. How would that work? That's like still like a very open area, but definitely I think very interesting design space. And then also things like social, right? I think Ethereum is definitely advantaged when it comes to like smart contracts and whatnot, but BTC definitely has advantages when it comes to being very open and bottom up driven, and then also very decentralized. So, in that sense, I think social is definitely also good synergy if people want to build something that's very transparent, private, but also bottom up driven. Like there's also social products like Nostra, like the other Nostra on BTC. So, extensions of that I could see happening on BTC too. Should be interesting. Yeah.
Definitely a lot of opportunities to be explored. And I would also like to take advantage of this call to remind our viewers that if you're a developer interested in building on Starknet and also like on top of Chakra Chain, there's currently a 5 million grant by Starknet where your project can apply to and get a grant of $25,000. So if you're interested, apply to the Starknet Foundation, and maybe you'll have the chance to get some help in order to build something on top of Starknet, on top of Chakra Chain, on top of Madara. Having said that, Luke, first of all, thanks a lot for coming. I learned a lot about Chakra Chain, about BTC restaking, about the whole BTC powered L2 scene, and also about the potential use cases that can be developed on the Chakra Chain BTC restaking protocol. I don't know if you would like to add something more.
Yeah, generally just love to have more developers and users come and push the developer networks and test nets to their limit. We really hope to deliver something solid for users and developers. And yeah, then also last but not least, thank you to this amazing community, like the whole ecosystem. It's a one of a kind
Uh,
ecosystem.
I really appreciate that. Luke, I was also forgetting an interesting question. Obviously, you feel free to refuse to answer, but like I wanted to ask you if Chakra Chain is planning to have a token in the future, and what kind of role would this token play in the network infrastructure?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as an infrastructure network, there's if it's decentralized, you need a way to, you know, make, I'd say, node participants accountable, right? Accountable both for, the work they put in and how much they should be given back by the whole like infrastructure network. So, in that sense, there's definitely going to be more of a utility token that any node operator, validators, and whatnot can be properly given back for. So that's definitely in the works, and long term. Not I can't say too sure about when token
Sure.
generation or whatnot would be, but yeah. So generally speaking, there's definitely going to be something like that in the works, and then
Very well understood, Luke. Thanks a lot for sharing this info with us. And well, once again, thanks a lot for coming to the StarkCafe, Luke. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I'm
yep,
really looking forward to having you back at the StarkCafe. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.
yeah. Thanks for having us. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye bye. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed the StarkCafe episode. Please remind that the content of this show has only an educational purpose, and it is not financial advice. Furthermore, if you like the episode, please like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Having said that, thanks a lot once again for watching, and see you next time to share the Starknet vibe.